I decided to do some demo diving to take a look at some of the titles releasing from now all the way into the end of 2023. Now, for the most part, the 6 titles I'm going to be showing are those that I feel should be wishlisted or should at least be on your radar. Now, there is an exception, and that's the game being shown on your screen. This is Champion Shift. And if you happen to play any action roguelike since Vampire Survivors, then you know exactly what you're getting into. The key difference is that this game is going to feature co-op and the ability to shift into cars. And I really do think shifting into a vehicle adds to the fun factor because you practically become unstoppable. You are able to play recklessly, you're able to play fast. Some of the abilities that your vehicle has are pretty much overpowered. And because you're mowing down mobs of enemies who are dropping these blue orbs that help replenish your special meter, you can practically never shift out of that vehicle form if you want to. There are always mobs of enemies around you, so there's always sources for you to replenish from. So I really feel like this game wants you to be in that vehicle and wants you to play fast, and when you embrace that play style, it becomes a lot of fun. Now, if you're wondering if this vehicle form is OP against bosses, you're absolutely correct. The bosses in the demo are stationary and their weapons cannot track you well while you're inside your vehicle. So you can just circle around them while they try to fire at you, but you're doing incredible amounts of damage to them, and you'll pretty much wipe your first boss pretty quickly. Now, as this is an action roguelike, I really wonder what the legs are going to be for this type of game, and I'm assuming that the price point is going to be low because most action roguelites have a very low price point because there are so many out there. Like, the competition is crazy right now. It really feels like there's one of these a week being released. With that being said, if you're a fan of the action roguelike genre, I recommend that you give Champion Shift a try. I'm pretty sure you're going to have a good time with it. The demo is out on Steam and the game will release in Q4 2023. Next up is Super Catboy, and if you're a fan of those old school arcade brawlers like The Simpsons, TMNT, Battletoads, X-Men, then this one's going to be for you. The demo allows you to play through multiple scenarios, and each of these feature a different environment. You also get a nice little boss fight at the end. It's a simplistic, old school arcade brawler. I don't think there's going to be a lot of depth in regard to the combat, but I do like the fact that the demo does showcase a lot of the different scenarios you'll find yourself in. Most levels within the demo are going to require you to find certain cat tokens, and to do so you're probably going to have to do some digging into that level. And this is going to require some platforming, and I feel like it's pretty solid in Super Catboy. There were some sections where I feel like the platforming was a bit too loose, and because this game releases Q3 2023, I think there's enough time for the developers to really tighten it up. Because as you're playing the level in the snow and the ice, you're going to notice really quickly that loose platforming makes it pretty difficult to land some of these really precise jumps that are required. Beyond that though, I think the only other gripe I had with the demo was the lack of enemy variety. I really feel like we're only fighting the same type of enemy, and the only kind of difference between them is that one may have a knife and one will have a gun, and I feel like that's just not enough for the entirety of a game, because I really feel like there's a lot of potential here in Super Catboy. Now, I will say this though, these types of arcade titles are usually really short. We're talking 4 to 5 hours. So I don't expect much in the way of enemy variety, but I hope I'm wrong. Super Catboy will release in Q3 of 2023. Next up is Ninja or Die, and this is probably the one game that surprised me the most. This game features a really unique movement style because you can only move by jumping. And jumping just so happens to be the only way you can actually damage enemies in this game. The demo features 3 levels, and the real highlight of those 3 is the Snowy Mountains. This is what really sold me on the game because you start off running away from an avalanche and you have to move very quickly. So as you're jumping, one of the things you have to kind of get used to is charging your jump to the point where you get enough energy where you'll explode forward. And the best part about charging your jump is that time slows down. So even though there is this avalanche that's bearing down upon you, you have more than enough time to make your decisions. So don't worry if the controls feel a little bit clunky to you. You're probably not the first person to say that. But I will say, once you hit a flow state, this game is so much fun to play. I think the demo does an excellent job of helping you learn the mechanics. I think the demo does an excellent job of teaching you how everything works in combat, of trying to guide the player into optimizing your ninja. And I really like the fact that the boss fights were pretty diverse and very weird. And I call these boss fights weird is because I really feel like the developers are trying to tell a darker, deeper story with your protagonist, but they're doing so with really goofy boss fights. Your first fight is with kite ninjas. Your second fight is on the back of this animal in which you are literally throwing flame at a moss ninja. The third fight is against a snowman. I don't think that any of the bosses in the demo are particularly hard, but they do a lot of damage to you. But by the time you reach them, you should be a fairly high level. I do think that one of the things that's interesting about this game is that they really want you to complete these sections all in one shot. So if you happen to get to the boss and you play reckless because you feel like you're not doing enough damage and you happen to get hit a couple times and you die because you weren't paying attention, you have to start the level all over again. Now, while in other games I would be seriously frustrated, I really feel like in this game I was like, you know what? That's fine. It's my fault. I didn't mind going through the levels because then I just took my time, looked for secrets, helped save some villagers, and then helped optimize my kit while going in to fight the boss because there are souls you can gather that will help buff your ninja. I really feel like Ninja or Die really took me by surprise. I'm really looking forward to this game's full release, and I will provide a review once it happens. I really feel like this game is going to really surprise you if you happen to play it, and I really recommend you do because it does feel different. Look forward to Ninja or Die on August 2nd, 2023. Out of all the games that are on this list, I really feel like I'm going to do my damnedest to sell you on Minishoot Adventures. I guess the best way to describe this game is that it's a twin-stick shooter that emphasizes Metroidvania-like exploration. And I really feel like that's the best way to describe it because it will remind you of games like Legend of Zelda. And it's just so much fun to play. I really enjoyed the bullet hell. I don't feel like there's a lot of challenge to this game unless bullet hells really stress you out. But this is one of those games that I feel is just incredibly charming and a lot of fun. The demo runs around 30 minutes. And I gotta tell you, when I got to that final boss and I beat it, I was just like, no, give me more. Let me play this game again. Because as you play the demo, you're going to notice the devs really emphasize this Metroidvania exploration because there are just so many hidden secrets scattered across this small playthrough area. And exploration does yield pretty good rewards because you're going to find a lot of resources that will help you upgrade your ship, and that really helps in terms of optimization. I just feel like there just wasn't a bad moment or a down moment in this demo at any point in time, and it culminates in a boss dungeon that I found to be incredibly fun because even in that boss dungeon, you gain an ability that allows you to make these really cool mini jumps. And this really opens up other sections of the map for you. So I really feel like this game does such a good job of enticing you because you're always asking yourself, can I really make that jump? Is it worth it? Can I really get that resource that's over there? I really feel like Minishoot Adventures surprised me in that way. As I got to the end of the demo, I had this sense of dread because I really just wanted to play this game now. And this is just one of those demos that I think will hook you because I may have ran through it in about 30-45 minutes, but it might take someone longer because they want to really fully explore what was there. The boss fight I thought was pretty satisfying, was pretty fun, and I found it interesting that when I was reviewing the devs' feedback, I saw something along the lines of that the game will probably cost around $10, which to me is a steal. If I'm getting around 7 to 10 hours and the game can actually continue to play like this, I'm going to be hooked on this game when it releases. And I think that if you give it a try, you might be too. So if you're a fan of twin stick shooters, if you're a fan of Metroidvanias, games with open exploration, give Minishoot Adventures a try. This game will release in September 2023. The fifth game on this list is On Garde, and I really feel like if you are a fan of action-adventure titles with unique and dynamic combat, you are going to love this game. The demo features a tutorial mode, which acts as its introduction to the story and the characters, and then you get a little arena mode in which you're challenged to fight waves of enemies. So before I gush about this game, let me just get the one flaw out of the way. And that flaw would be the roll. I really feel it's just a bit awkward. I'm hoping that the devs clean that up before the game releases. Beyond that though, the combat in this game is so damn good. Everything is just responsive. The parry windows, the dodge windows, The ability to use different items in the environment to fight off waves of enemies. You're always looking to break down their posture. I really feel like this game emphasizes creativity in a way that in most games, these sections would be scripted, but in On Guard, it is not. Everything you do is dynamic and player dependent. This is one of those action titles where I feel like you're in complete control of everything. The only thing that's stopping you is your creativity. So if you don't want to use the environment, you don't have to. You can just work on parrying and dodging, and I think you'll be satisfied. But to really get the most out of this game, you are going to have to use the environment because it is so much fun to just get surrounded by all these enemies and then escape because you're jumping on a table or over the table, and then you kick that table into them. And then you try to knock some boxes into them and then kick them into the ocean or kick them into a entire weapon rack and have that rack fall on them. I feel like this is one of those rare games where I was just blown away by the amount of interactivity because it is an independent title and I didn't think that this was possible. Almost immediately upon completing the demo, I wishlisted this game. Seriously, if you go and complete the arena section, you can run through it a couple of times and just be as creative as you want. I really feel like you're going to get a feeling of what makes this game really special, and it will absolutely hype you up. This game releases in August 2023, and I fully expect it to be one of the best independent titles of the year, barring some crazy drop-off in quality, but honestly, with the way this game played out in its tutorial section and its arena section, I just can't see that happening. The final title on this list is Gunbrella, and it's one that I am really looking forward to after playing the demo. This is a side-scrolling Metroidvania game, and what's really going to sell it is that it features really brutal, difficult combat, and I really enjoy the fact that your Gunbrella has a lot of uses. Not only does the Gunbrella serve as your main weapon, it has alternate modes of fire. You have an assault rifle, a grenade launcher. These are all featured in the demo. You also have the ability to use it as your shield, and if you parry at the right time, you can deflect bullets back and kill enemies in pretty brutal and satisfying ways. The Gunbrella also serves as your primary means of traversal because you are using it to dash, to super jump, to glide, to attach on zip lines. It's a Swiss Army knife in the form of an umbrella. How classy is that? The demo should run you around 20 to 30 minutes depending on your pace of play. I really feel like once you get acclimated to the Gunbrella's mechanics, you should be zipping around levels pretty quickly. This game feels like it's going to be a sleeper hit. The gunplay is tight, the platforming is fantastic. I really like the abilities. There was just enough in this demo to kind of get you really hyped for what the game could be. And I really feel like the final boss fight of the demo was actually pretty fun. I love the visual style of it. I like the music. I like the fact that there are certain puzzles within the dungeons. I think that this game just has a lot going for it, and I'm really looking forward to this release. It's coming out sometime in 2023. There is no set release date, but they can take their time because this game looks amazing, and I'm looking forward to beating it once it releases. And that's going to do it for this video. I feel like this is a series I'm going to revisit every so often because this year has been so good for indie titles, and I feel like there's a ton of demos out there for upcoming games that I feel like people should get really hyped for. And I feel like this is a good way for me to just break down some of the games I get to play, give you my thoughts on some of the demos, and give my recommendations. If you like this content, please consider like, sharing, and subscribing. If you have any indie game recommendations for me, leave a comment below. If there are any titles you want me to cover, leave a comment below as well. I'm Ken from Pixelated Thoughts, and I'll talk to you next time.